Hey everybody, it's Joe. It's Tuesday, so it's time for this week's De-JOE-tional. First of all, before I get to anything going on here, I want to thank Jeff and Laura Rensing for filling in for us during GPS Sunday since we weren't able to be there. And Pastor Jay did another magnificent job holding down the fort by himself without me or Barb or Ann or anybody else there. So good job, Pastor Jay. Hopefully all of us will be back next Sunday. But we are at Barnes still. We've been here for a week now. For those of you that don't know, Susan was diagnosed with multiple myeloma. And before I get to all that, I got to show you this view. Last week's video was in the dark. That's Forest Park right outside our window. How cool is that? It's Clayton out there in the back. Different times of day have just sprung up different colors and all that. It's a very cool view. So anyway, a few weeks ago, her shoulder was injured, and we went to Dr. Burke, an orthopedist, and he discovered that there was a tumor in her shoulder. So he sent us to Dr. McDonald at WashU in Siteman, and he did confirm that it was myeloma, but it didn't require any surgery. So he forwarded us on to Dr. Schroeder over at Siteman. And Dr. Schroeder and his team have done a fantastic job of getting everything taken care of. We saw Dr. Robinson did radiation on her shoulder and her hip. And then Dr. Welch has taken over the oncology part of it. And all of them together have they've all been very, very nice. They've all been very positive, very encouraging, answered all of our questions, been very patient with us. And I just can't say enough about what they've meant to us and thank them enough for getting us through this this uneasy process. So I want to thank them. But I also have to thank the nursing staff. The nursing staff has been amazing. They have been really, really good. And we've only had a couple nurses repeat in the week that we've been here. We've seen a lot of new faces, which is fine. That's just how they do it. They rotate on different parts of the floor into different floors. But there are two nurses that I have to bring up specifically. I don't know their last names. I just know their first names. Danette, who was a 30-year veteran, was here on Friday night after Susan had her radiation and was in quite a bit of pain overnight. And Danette did everything she could to alleviate that pain and help Susan rest comfortably. So she was great. She did, again, she's a veteran. She knew all the tricks. So she was very comforting and very good that night. And then Saturday night, Susan got her first chemo treatment at 10:30, 11:30 at night. It was staggered throughout that time. And our nurse that night was Becca. And Becca came in and checked on her every half hour for 6 hours then. And Susan was up all night with that. And Becca was just fabulous. Again, very comforting, very reassuring. We've not had a single complaint about any of the staff here. So they've all been just a blessing to us. So some information we found out today, because I know a lot of people have texted me with questions and asked what's going on. Myeloma just happens. Susan's been beating herself up trying to figure out what she did wrong or used or ate or didn't do enough of or something, and it just happens. And Dr. Welch this morning says it's myeloma happens to good people for no good reason. And I know that there's a scientific thing about it that you all can look up if you want, but there's no way to trace it or know it. And it's something that's probably been in her body anywhere from 1 to 5 years. And most people don't find it until they have some sort of injury. Our nurse, Emily, today said that she had a patient one time felt perfectly fine. She was out walking, and she broke her ankle walking, and came in, and it was discovered then. Just like Susan injured it with the door, and then catching herself after she lost her balance into a wall. She just injured her shoulder, and that's how we found it. So, and there's no way to trace it back, and no way. There's no stages for this. It's the same, and there's no. We thought this too. It's a good thing we caught it early. That's not a thing with this either. That whether you catch it early or later, the treatment is exactly the same. So there really is no early or late. I guess if you want to make the argument that the later it goes, the more, if you have the kind that she's got that's in the bone, then it would deteriorate some of the bone, and you could have a fracture or injure yourself that way. So I guess in that respect, it's better to catch it early before there's any kind of damage that way. But the cancer itself is treated the same way either way. So there are no answers. So now, knowing that, hopefully Susan can rest a little bit easier. We can all rest a little bit easier. It's just something that happens. And, like a lot of things in our lives, things just happen. And there is no explanation, and we may not know why they happen until we talk to God himself, find out why. But, it did happen for a reason. And we hope that we find out what that reason is soon, so we can use it in his glory and use it for his kingdom. So that's the update from here. Not much of a devotional per se, except, as always, when something like this happens, hug your families a little tighter, hug your kids a little tighter, because you never know what's right around the corner. You never know what's going to happen. She's going to be fine. That's all we know. It was treatable. She's going to be fine, but it doesn't make it any less scary.
There's a long road ahead of us, but yeah.
Yep. She pipes in, there's a long road ahead of us, but we know what the road is. And there's very successful rate. It's a clear path, and it's a very promising path. A yellow brick road, if you will. Oh, yeah. She says. See, I'm still getting the eye rolls. It's not affected that at all. So anyway, that's what we got for this week. That's our De-JOE-tional. We will be back, or at least I'll be back, to GPS on Sunday. We're going to be concluding our lesson on the Mr. Rogers effect. Again, I want to thank Jeff and Laura Rensing for filling in for us Sunday for GPS. They showed part of Mr. Rogers' movie, so that was cool. But we're going to wrap that series up this week, and then I'll have that final recap next week for the De-JOE-tional, and then we'll start another Advent series thing. So, from Barnes, that's it. Want to say bye, Sue? She's waving. So, catch the wave and wave right to you. Blessings, Godfrey first.